Hi, in this lesson we're going to start by installing the Meteor framework, and then we're going to generate a starter application, and then we're going to run it and have a little look around to see which files constitute the most basic possible Meteor application. So at the end of this lesson you will have your Meteor system installed, you'll be up and running with an example application, and you'll know how to access that in your web browser. So let's get started. So step one, installing. Right, so installing Meteor is fairly straightforward. They provide pretty simple installers for Mac, Linux and Windows. And we're just going to look at the Mac and Linux type of install, but the Windows install should be fairly straightforward as well. You just have to download the installer and run it. If you're on Mac or Linux, these are the steps you need to take. So we go to the web page, which is on, you can see there, and we see that we have an instruction here that basically to take this command, which is curl, then an address, and then sh, mysterious command, and we have to run that. Okay, so let's paste that into our terminal there. So I'm running in my terminal application, which is in your utilities folder, in your applications folder on your Mac, or normally on Linux, it's fairly straightforward. There's normally an icon to just run the terminal. And if you're running on Windows, please check out the Windows installer video. So I've pasted that command in. Let's just have a look at what that command does before we run it. So the first part of the command is the word curl, and the word curl is essentially the name of a command which we're going to run. So curl basically will download a file and just print it out to the console. Okay, so if we just ran curl, then that address, we'd just see whatever that file was. And the file that it's going to download is located here. And once it's downloaded that file, it's actually going to pipe it. So this is called piping in Unix speak. We're going to pipe it into the shell command. And basically what that means is it's going to download whatever is located at that address and run it straight away in the terminal. So what is located at that address is a script which will go and install Meteor for us. So let's just run it right now and see what happens. Okay, so the first step is that it's going to remove my existing Meteor installation. Because I've been developing Meteor apps before, I've already installed Meteor. So what it's doing, it's just got rid of that, and now it's downloading the file there and installing, and it's all done. That was it, all finished. And you see it prints out a few sort of tips there as to what's happened. So it sort of reports that it's installed it into my home directory, and it tells me how to create a starter app. So we've now installed the Meteor framework, and we're going to move on to the next step, which is to create a starter application. Now, so the command to create a starter application, well, first of all, I want to create a folder that I'm going to work in for this course. So I'm going to create a folder in my home directory called dev, make dev. Okay, and then if I type cd, which means change directory, into dev, I'm now moving into the dev directory, and now I can create my example application. So I'm going to actually call it not my cool app as they suggest. I'm going to call it image share, because what we're going to do in this course is actually build on the image slideshow website that you've been building in the previous courses and add some additional functionality which is enabled by the Meteor framework. So let's create that, and we're going to call it image share. So Meteor create image share. That's the command. So I'm going to run the Meteor command, and I'm going to tell it to do a create operation. So the Meteor command's got various operations which it can do. The one we're going to use is create, and the name of the application is image share. So I hit return, and it's done it straight away. So now I've created my example application, and you can see that it's then giving me the instructions as to how I can actually run the application. So let's try doing that. So I go cd image share, and let's just before we run it, let's have a quick look what's in there. So I type ls, which means list. So that's listing the contents of the image share directory. So Meteor just created this directory for me, and it's put these files in there for me. Okay, so there's 3 files, and you can probably guess what's going to be in there. So CSS is going to be your styles, HTML is going to contain your HTML and your templates, and the JS file is going to contain your JavaScript code. And that's the most simple possible Meteor application. So let's run it. Meteor. We just type Meteor, and off we go. the application is now going to start up, and you can see it prints out which application it's running and that it's starting a proxy, a MongoDB, and my app. Don't worry about what those things are for now. We'll find out plenty more about that as we work our way through the course. And the final thing it prints out, and this is the important bit, is that it's saying the app is running at localhost 3000. So if we look at that, what does that actually mean? So localhost means it's running on my local machine. So localhost is a way of referring to your local machine on the network. So if there's another machine on the network, it might have another name other than localhost. And the other bit is this colon 3000. That means that, well, if you're running several servers on your local machine, each one of them needs to listen on a different number, or what we call a port. So localhost is the name of the machine, and 3000 is the port, so you can run servers on different ports. Okay, so what do we do with that? Well, we copy that and we paste it into our web server, and let's just zoom in a bit. And you can see that there's a web page there. Okay, so what's happened there is my web browser has made a request to the server that I just started, which is running on port 3000, and as a result of that request, it gets a bunch of files and then turns it into this web page. And as we work through the course, we will find out exactly what all those files are, when they run, and what they're doing. But for now, we just need to know that we've created our example app, and we've run it, and we've accessed it in the web browser. So let's see what this app does. So there's a big button there which says click me. So I'm going to click on that. And you can see there's a counter which is going up every time I click on it. Great. So that's the most simple application, if you like. Right, so what we've done in this lesson is we have installed the Meteor web application framework, we have created an example application, and we have had a look at that example application running in our web browser. In the next lesson, what we're going to do is go into that example application and edit the files so that it turns it into a very basic image display application.